this is Joanna and welcome back to another video. I'm the guest designer over at Happy Little Stampers this month and the challenge is all about masking, so this is the card that I came up with. And I'm using a stamp set from Paper Smooches called Hooties, and it has matching dies, but I won't be using the dies today. I'm starting out by creating my card base, and I'm creating my card base out of Nina Solo White 110 pounds, and I'm using my Martha Stewart mini scoring board to score it as a standard size top folding card, so it's 4 1/4 by 5 1/2. And then I'm mounting the big owl onto my Fisker stamp press, and I will stamp it onto my card, and I'm stamping with Memento ink because I'm going to do some copy coloring later on. And Memento ink is a really good ink for coloring with Copics. I haven't used this stamp before and I forgot to stamp it up first, so the impression is not very good, but I will fix that later. And I will also create a mask, so I'm using some post-it tape. This is a 2-inch post-it tape to create my mask. And then I just use my scissors and I cut it out. And then it's time to position the mask over the owl. And I think the key to get a good, I'm going to do some inking over this, and the key to get a good inking also is to be really careful when you position the mask. And I will also stamp a branch so the owl has something to sit on, and I will stamp that in Memento ink as well. But I will make this branch longer, so I remove some of the ink just by using my fingers, and then I will stamp it. And later on, when the inking is done, I will draw in the line with a Copic multiliner. But first I will create a mask for the branch as well, so I'm using the same post-it tape again. And then I will put it over my card, so I know how long the branch has to be. And I'm just using a pen to draw that in. And then I use my scissors to cut it out. And then I just position the mask over the branch. And just to make sure that I don't smear the pencil when I'm doing the inking, I'm just using white rubber to erase the pencil lines. And now it's time to do the inking. And I'm working on my craft mat here. And I have 3 shades of distress ink that I'm using. And the orange one is Spiced Marmalade, and then I'm using mustard seed and also spun sugar. And I think when you are doing inking, as you can see here, first I'm trying to remove the ink from the edges of the tool. Then it's much easier to get a nice blend. And I'm layering the colors here, so this is quite sped up, so it takes a while, but I'm going over it with a really light hand in circular motions. And then I'm just building the color up. And I have a piece of post-it tape on my left hand just to make sure that I don't smear the ink, or if I have any ink on my fingers that I will transfer to my card base. So this is going to look like a beautiful sunset. So it's fading out to pink. And the spun sugar is really, really light. I really love that color. And here I'm just removing the masks. And the owl mask, I will save that mask for later. So I usually store them on my Avery L pocket or just on the stamp set. So then I can use them over and over again. And then I just take my Copic multiliner and I draw in the rest of the branch. and I didn't stamp the owl very good because it was a new stamp, so I'm using my Copic multiliner again to just draw in the spots that I missed. And I've heard that you can take a rubber and erase a little bit on the stamp first if it's new, and it will remove any oil, and then it stamps better. But I usually just stamp it off to the side a couple of times, and that works really well. But as I said earlier, I forgot to do that on this particular card. And then I just used my heat tool to dry the ink, and so I'm sure that it doesn't smear. And now it's time to do the Copic coloring. And I don't know about you guys, but sometimes I want to make the coloring quite quick because I want to play with dies or maybe paper piecing. But today I was feeling I wanted to try something new, and so this is why this video is a little bit longer than usual. It's because the Copic coloring took quite a bit, because I wanted it to look like the owl had feathers. So I'm trying something new here. Maybe someone else has tried it as well, but I haven't seen it before. So what I'm doing is I'm trying to just I'm not blending it as I normally do. I'm just using my Copics to feather in strokes, so it looks like feathers. And I'm using a couple of different shades to do that. And I will also later on use my Copic opaque white. And when I'm using it, I wasn't aware that it was out of frame. But it's a small jar with like a paint, so you have to use a paintbrush to put it on. And I will link that Copic opaque white in the YouTube description down below. So if you're interested, you can just check it out and you can see how it looks. And well, I will just keep on layering colors here. So I'm just feathering all of the colors in, and I'm using 4 or 5 different shades of brown. And all of the Copic colors are also listed in the YouTube description or over at my blog. So I also try to use I used to feather in on the belly of the bird, but it doesn't show very well. And I wanted the eyelids to be pink because I wanted them to match the sunset. But I will change that later on in the video because I didn't think it looked very good. It was too bright for the sponge sugar is so light, so it didn't match. But for now the eyelids are pink. And then I just use a couple of blue shades to draw in the owl's eyes. And I think this owl is so cute. It makes me smile. And now it's time for the Copic opaque white. So as you can see, I'm sorry that I don't show the jar, but as I said earlier, you can find it in the YouTube description. But what I'm doing here is I'm taking my paintbrush, and then I'm just doing what I did with the Copic pens. I'm flicking paint onto the owl. And also onto the belly, of course. So I'm just covering the entire owl with white flicks. And this is where I think that I don't like the pink eyelids, so I'm going over it with the lightest brown, and I'm trying to mute the pink. And then I'm coloring in the branch, and I'm just using some different shades of brown to do that. And I'm also trying to create some interest, so I'm drawing in just a little detail onto the branch, but I don't want the branch to be, I want the owl to be in focus, so I'm toning it down just a little bit. And here I'm deciding the owl is a little bit too white. So when the Copic Opaque White is dry, I'm going over the white spots with my Copics again. And I'm not sure if it ruined your markers, but I didn't have a problem with it. I didn't. My nibs looked just fine afterwards. But if you are concerned about it, I recommend you to check that out first if you all want to do this. So what I'm doing, I'm taking the darkest brown, just going over the white flicks. So they are still lighter, but they are much more muted, and I think this looks much better. And then I'm just adding some more details to the branch. And I want to add some, I don't like the eyelids, so I'm thinking maybe I should add some Wink of Stella. So I'm adding some Wink of Stella. It makes everything better, as you all know. So here you can see the glitter. But I'm not sure that I like it anyway, but I will work with my sentiment, and I will think about what to do with those eyelids. So I'm using sentiment from the same stamp set, and I'm stamping it with Memento ink again, because I'm going to use my red Copic marker to fill in the hearts. And I'm using my viscous stamp press, and I love to use that when I'm stamping sentiments because it's so easy to line it up. So I just line up the card onto my work surface, and then I use the grids to make sure that I get a straight impression. And here I'm using a red Copic marker to paint in all of the hearts. And then I use my We Are Memory Keepers corner jumper to round the edges. And here I decide I don't like those pink eyelids, so I'm using my lightest browns to shade them brown instead, and I think this turned out much better. So I think she's much cuter now. And then just to finish off the card, I'm using my glossy accent to make the hearts pop on the card. And this was all from me today, so I hope that you like this card, and I hope to see you over at Happy Little Stampers. Take care. Bye.